Good morning. I'm so happy to see you all. Welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We honor the inherent worth and dignity of each person. All are welcome here. I'm Sara Drew, an intern here at Emerson this year, and your guest speaker for this morning. Thank you so much for coming, having me, sharing in community, whether in person or online. I hope you've each been enjoying your weekend, and that enjoyment continues right through today. Our opening hymn is Woyaya. That is number 1020 in your teal hymnal.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah, 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 oh yeah, yeah.
Good morning. It's another great day in paradise. Welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My name is Ed Cosper. I'm a member of the Sunday worship team. I sing in the choir, and I'm a ministry associate. As Unitarian Universalists, we embrace a wide variety of theological ideas and practices, and we honor the inherent worth and dignity of all. You are welcome here. Each Sunday, we light a candle of acknowledgement and remembrance for the Cherokee and Muskogee nations of people who lived on this land before us. May this candle humbly remind us of our interconnection and the impact of our collective actions. May there be healing in all nations of people. Also, each Sunday we light our chalice. Its light is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism and a reminder of our commitment to be a beacon of love and hope to all who enter. This Sunday's chalice lighting words come from Andre Lorde. Our feelings are most genuine paths to knowledge. May this light remind us to acknowledge and respect our feelings this morning. And now, in the spirit of the beloved community and connection that we have here, let's greet and welcome each other to worship as we all share our congregational affirmation. We need not think alike to love alike. I invite you to move around and introduce yourself to someone whom you do not know. Online folks, please join us in the chat to introduce yourself.
For those of you here in person, we have something special this morning. If, as you make your way back to your seats, you want to give a wave to our online community, can see each other this morning. And now I invite Beth Klein for our story of all ages. Oh, did I cut you off?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me go next.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
big deal.
Yes.
Beth will come.
You popped right up, though, ready to go.
Now, here at Emerson, our vision is to be a radically inclusive, open-minded, beloved community that is a vibrant source of peace, hope, and healing in the world. We know we cannot live this vision alone, and so each month we partner with another organization and encourage our members and friends to support the work they do both financially and with action. Today's Share the Basket is for Marty Indian School in Marty, South Dakota. Marty, South Dakota and Marty Indian School are all too familiar with disasters and everyday emergencies. Its remote location requires Marty School to be prepared and self-reliant, building community emergency response teams, or CERTs, and team CERT teams on the Ihontawan Reservation, prepares the members of the tribe to respond to disasters and takes the trainees out of the victim role and into an empowering rescuer role. This fall, 18 members of Marty Indian School completed the FEMA Certified CERT program. They are also currently training the first teen CERT team, which exposes the students to career opportunities in first responder jobs, such as fire department, police, medical responders, and emergency management. The material needs for CERT at the Marty Indian School include basic life support first aid kits, uniforms, radios for communication, fire extinguishers, PPE, and ID making, and scanning machines and disaster response kits, as well as emergency rations. Our support will make a difference. As our donation baskets go around, please feel free to take a card which describes the ways to give and enjoy a lollipop just for the fun of it. All donations, unless otherwise specified, are shared equally with Emerson and our partner organization.
Good morning. I have a story for all ages. If the young or the young at heart would like to join me, come on up. Please have a seat. Welcome. Well, my first order of business this morning is to introduce you to a Jewish folklore hero, and his name is Herschel of Ostropol. Now, no one knows if Herschel is real or not, but there are some wonderful Herschel stories, and I'd like to share one with you this morning. So Herschel was walking in the countryside of the old country, as he usually did, from village to village, and he was tired, he was cold, it was snowing, and it was bitter, and But his footsteps were kind of jaunty. They were light. And the reason for that is because tonight was the first night of Hanukkah, just like it is this very evening. So Herschel is thinking, and he knows that when he gets to the village, what will he have? Bright candles. Anything else? Some happy Hanukkah songs, cheerful songs, and piles of latkes. Yes, latkes. And he can just taste them. His mouth is watering. He's so excited, and he comes around that last bend of the curve of the mountain, and the village below is dark. Not one Hanukkah candle in the window. Not one whiff of latkes anywhere to be found. Well, a crowd of the villagers met him at the bottom of the mountain, and he said, am I wrong? Is tonight not the first night of Hanukkah? And what did they say? We don't have Hanukkah here anymore. No Hanukkah. What? No Hanukkah? Well, we have a goblin problem. There are evil goblins that have taken over the old cemetery on the hill, and they pervade our whole village, and it's especially bad at Hanukkah. They blow out our little candles. They topple our plates of latkes onto the floor, and it's just horrible, just horrible. And the rabbi steps up from the village, and he says, it's bad, so no Hanukkah here tonight. And Herschel says, well, this makes absolutely no sense. You have to have Hanukkah. And the rabbi says, I can tell you how to get rid of this evil spell. First, you have to light a menorah in the old synagogue window every night for 8 nights. The second thing is that on the 8th night, all of the 8th candle has to be lit by the king of the goblins. Herschel strokes his beard, thinks for a minute, and says, I can handle that. So the villagers give Herschel a dozen hard-boiled eggs for dinner, for all of the whole Hanukkah time, for his dinners. They also have a big jar of pickles for him. He loves pickles, they know that. So they give him the pickles and the hard-boiled eggs. And the rabbi says, well, you're going to need these things. You're going to need, what's this? A menorah. You're going to need
Matches.
a box of matches. You're going to need,
Candles.
but what kind of candles?
Mini candles that are
Oh, mini candles that are colorful. These are Hanukkah candles, so they're special. Herschel says, yeah, I can do this. So he goes through the cold, and no one thought they were going to see him again, so they just bid him farewell and good luck. And oh, what's going to happen with Herschel? He goes up to the synagogue, opens the creaky door, and it's gloomy, and it's dark, and it's cold in there. So he takes his menorah, and he puts it in the windowsill. He has the servant candle and the first candle for the first night of Hanukkah. He decides that I'm just going to go ahead and light this now. The sun is down. That's the tradition. He says the blessings, the Hanukkah blessings over the menorah, strikes the match, and lights the candle, the servant candle. Then he lights the other candle. And there's something flying around in the room. Do you guys see it? Buzzing, buzzing, buzzing. It's about the size of a horsefly. What is that? It stands still long enough, and he realized it is a goblin. Short little tail like a dragon, bat wings, and the goblin says, you can't light that. You can't light that menorah. We don't like Hanukkah here. We don't like it at all. I want you to stop that. And he says, stop it. You, Pipsqueak, are asking me to stop it? He reaches into his pocket. He takes out an egg, but in the dark, it looks like a rock. He crushes the rock, the egg. And out comes the bits and pieces of the hard-boiled egg. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. You're not gonna do that to me, are you? He says, yes, I'm going to crush you. So scoot away. The little goblin flies away, and he says over his shoulder, I'm not gonna make a fuss tonight, but tomorrow you'll really be in big trouble. Tomorrow comes and goes. Tomorrow comes, he puts the other candle in, he goes to light the candle, and he realizes that there's someone in the room with him. It's a very fiery red, scary goblin who sits at the table with him and says, we don't allow menorahs or candles at Hanukkah here. This is going to have to go away, and I'll have to make quick work of you too. Well, Herschel says, I'm just having my dinner. He opens the jar of pickles. Would you like to be the goblin? I'll throw you a pickle, catch it. Pops it into his mouth, the goblin does. Me like pickles. So Herschel says, go ahead and reach your hand in that pickle jar and you just grab all the pickles you can. He grabs in, he holds them, and he cannot get his fist out of the pickle jar. I've put an evil spell on you, he says. Herschel does. And he goes ahead and lights the candles in front of the goblin. Then, just to make things worse, he sang all the Hanukkah songs he knew. And it just drove the goblin just nuts. He says, please, I can't stand it anymore. Break this spell. And Herschel tells the goblin to let the pickles go. And his greediness has been the spell that's cast over him. So he lets the pickles go, and the goblin says, I'm gonna come back for you. You're gonna pay for this. And so it goes for the next 5 nights. On the 7th night, a horrible, ugly, nasty, huge goblin shows up. He waddles in like a duck, and he's giant, and he's a mess. And he says to Herschel, what are you doing there, Herschel? And Herschel is going like this. He's got a little dreidel in his hand. So he's playing dreidel. And Herschel says, it's so much fun. You can't play dreidel, but it's so much fun. Well, maybe you'd like to. Do you have any money? And the goblin says, yes, I just happen to have a pile of gold. So the goblin puts the gold on the table. Aurora says, this is silly. A pile of gold. And if you've ever played dreidel, it's a game of chance. So he spins, and pretty soon Herschel has the entire pile of gold. And the goblin is mad as hops, but he doesn't want to lose any more of his money. And Herschel says, stop, come back and play with me some more. No, but tomorrow you'll pay. And guess who shows up on the 8th night? The king of the goblins. The king of the goblins was super scary. He has all of the candles are empty on the menorah. And Herschel starts talking to him. How do I know that you're the king of the goblins? And he says, because I'm going to rattle the roof and shake this temple down. And all the shingles fall off. And the glass breaks. And the poor little synagogue is quaking in its boots, and it's falling apart. So he says, I don't believe that you're the king of the goblins. I think that you're just one of those boys from the village who's trying to scare me. It's so dark in here. And the king of the goblins says, I am not a boy from the village. I am the king of the goblins. You must listen to me. Do not talk disrespectfully to me. And he says, it's so dark in here. I think you're pulling my leg. So what does Mr. Herschel say to him? Any ideas? He says, king of the goblins, why don't you just strike a match. There's a candelabra and candles on the table next to the door, and that way I can see you better. The King of the Goblin lights each candle, foreseeing the prophecy that breaks the spell. Do you remember that? How the rabbi said it would break the spell? And it broke the spell. But before he disappeared, everything, down to the rocks of the foundation, all the pieces of the synagogue were blown away to the wind. Millions and millions of pieces. And there sits Herschel in a chair by the table with the menorah. That one doesn't want light, does it? And in all this windstorm, the menorah doesn't even flicker.
You forgot this one.
Oh, I did. Thank you. So huge windstorm, and the candles don't even flicker. So what would you call that? Would that be a Hanukkah miracle? I think it is. And so when he went down the hill to the village, what did he see in the windows? Menorahs everywhere. The village is lit. What did he smell? Oh, yummy, yummy latkes. And what did he hear? Joyful, happy Hanukkah songs. And it was a Hanukkah miracle. And that's the story of Herschel of Ostropol and the Hanukkah Goblins. Would you like to help me blow this out?
Yes.
Okay, just one at a time. Just quiet. Take down your mirror. Can you get those? There we go. That's okay. Will you please join me in singing our song of dedication? You'll find it in your order of service. Is the doctrine of this church. We're just going to hold.
Services its prayer to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship. Thus do we covenant with each other. Thus do we promise to each other.
There you go.
Good morning. My name is Sandra Malik, and I serve as a member of our Emerson Pastoral Care Team. We are available with listening ears and caring hearts to support you during challenging times. Each Sunday, we pause to share personal joys, sorrows, and concerns of our Emerson community. If you want to contact the pastoral care team or share a joy, sorrow, or concern at a Sunday service, please email pastoralcare@emersonuu.org. When you are with us in person, we also invite you to write your joy, sorrows, and concerns before the service in this yellow book at the back of the church. Today, Sara will light our candles, and we light our vigil bowl. Its light represents the light of hope for the peaceful resolution of all conflicts on our planet.
I got tired this morning. Went out and there it was.
Now, I have one joy today from James Petit. My mother recently graduated with a diploma in medical administration. I'm so proud of her, and we are too. I also share
I will go
these
get us a seat.
concerns.
And if you want to sign
Claude
her with a pen,
would like to
it's
share
Aurora
Sara.
Gopin, Gopin.
We have a My childhood best friend, Lawrence Saracen, passed away, and we celebrated his life on Friday. Please keep his wife and children in your thoughts. And we also hold him in our thoughts. We also know there might be joys, sorrows, and concerns not spoken. Please feel free to say out loud or type, if you're at home, into the chat, the name of someone you are holding in your heart. Teresa and John. Now let us send our heartfelt, caring intentions to all those whose names have been spoken, and to all beings everywhere, by offering the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness that's in your order of service. Repeat these words after me. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May they be free from harm and suffering. May they be well in body, heart, and mind. May they be at peace. Blessed be.
I'm going to take the next few minutes for a meditation practice. So you can get comfortable in your seats, maybe plant your feet. I like to try to find the balance between feeling really rooted and steady, but not slumping, lifting, feeling really powerful in your seated position. You could close your eyes if you're comfortable doing it, or maybe you'll find a downward, glazed over gaze. If it feels comfortable to you, you can breathe through your nose. You might imagine yourself sitting in your very favorite place. Maybe there's sun shining on your face. You feel happiness in your heart. Try to inspect that happiness a little bit. Is there a more pointed way to describe that feeling? Is it gratitude? Is it peaceful? Or something else? Maybe you'll notice where you are. Maybe it feels like waiting. You could ask yourself what you're waiting for. What will continue to cultivate that feeling of happiness? I'm going to let you settle into that for a few minutes, and eventually Bruce will start playing the piano. You're welcome to continue to meditate through that piano. If you haven't already, you can make your way back into the room, blinking open your eyes. Today is the first day of Advent, which means it's the fourth Sunday before Christmas. Many Christians practice Advent as a sort of preparation for the arrival of baby Jesus. This might be in terms of decorations or daily prayer or marking the passing days by using an Advent calendar. Maybe you've seen or eaten those daily chocolates or treats before. There are also Advent wreaths, and we have one here. You light a purple candle for each week, the first 3 weeks, and then the pink candle for the week of Christmas. Tonight is also the first night of Hanukkah. Hanukkah, you may know, is a Jewish celebration of the Maccabean victory over the 3-year reign of Antiochus. After the victory, the temple at Kislev was meant to be rededicated to the Maccabees. Upon entering the temple to cleanse and rededicate it, a small jar of oil was found, undefiled by Antiochus. It was only enough oil to burn for 1 night, but miraculously, it burned for 8, which is why the reason that the Festival of Lights, or Hanukkah, is celebrated by Jewish people and Herschel for 8 nights. I, personally, am neither Christian or Jewish, but I have a deep respect for religious practices, and instead of either ignoring them or co-opting them for myself, I ask myself what they have to teach me, and all people really. In thinking about what I would talk to you about today, this fateful convergence of Advent and Hanukkah, I was thinking about what they have in common, and I arrived at what you might already know. The title of this sermon is Sacred Waiting. Mary was visited by an angel who told her she would give birth to the Son of God. Mary had never given birth to any baby before, but what she did know about pregnancy and birth was certainly of little help in her particular situation. She was waiting to see what would become of her and her baby. Antiochus had waged war on the Maccabees for 3 years, but that really was just a drop in the proverbial bucket for Judaism, which had suffered generations of exile. Neither of these cases of waiting can be likened to the line at the grocery store or the waiting room at the Department of Driver Services, but maybe some of you have had some monumental waits, either for yourself or on behalf of a loved one, waiting for the arrival of a baby or the death of a loved one, waiting for test results from the doctor, waiting for someone to return home safe, waiting to escape or heal or be yourself. Lots of times the circumstances and resolution of this waiting is not something we have total control over. And I do not mean to diminish that at all. But I would like to propose a few ideas to you. None of them are meant to be advice or instructive. I would love it if they spark some rumination for you and some conversation for us all. I love to devour information and keep what sticks and discard what doesn't. I offer you the same opportunity with my ideas on sacred waiting. One thing that has stuck with me for years is a Zen Buddhist Koan. How a person does one thing is how they do everything. From Encyclopedia Britannica, a koan is a Zen Buddhist succinct paradoxical statement or question used as a meditation discipline for novices. The effort to solve a koan is intended to exhaust the analytic intellect and the egoistic will, readying the mind to entertain an appropriate response on the intuitive level. Each such exercise constitutes both a communication of some aspect of Zen experience and a test of the novice's competence. How a person does one thing is how they do everything. I've carried this one around with me and have applied it to a lot of situations and asking myself if I could solve it, if it's true, if I want to keep carrying it around. So if I rush through washing the dishes and I don't appreciate what I have or the time to do it, then it goes that I will rush through everything else I do and won't appreciate what I have or the time to do it. Other things like quality time with my family and friends, eating good food, being in nature, being present when greeting people. That line of thinking makes you want to sort of backward navigate the whole thing, right? So then I think of how I want to show up in these times that I have no trouble recognizing as precious. You might have gleaned that I do not think washing the dishes is precious. That and all household chores, to be honest. So meeting a baby for the first time, I think to myself, how do I want to show up for that? Telling someone how grateful I am for their presence in my life. Really basking in the midwinter sunshine. I think of those times and wonder how I can bring that presence to washing the dishes, vacuuming. I wonder if I practice the cultivation of presence and appreciation and gratitude while washing the dishes, if it will come more easily and more profoundly when I meet that new baby or that homemade pie. Is it possible that cultivating my capacity to wait with intention and reverence in line at the post office will allow me to find a place of sacred waiting in those more monumental times of waiting? If I can resist the urge to wish my workday away, my 2021 away, my graduate program, the pandemic away, is there something sacred to be found there? I've been using a lot of words like appreciate, reverence, gratitude, recognizing profound beauty. And maybe you want to feel those things too, maybe not. Those are my words. You might revisit our meditation practice from earlier this morning and think about what came to your mind. What do you want to feel? What makes you happy? What might you cultivate while sitting in traffic so that you can experience the biggest, most pure version of that in times that matter most to you? Many of us aren't good at that, myself included. I'll speak for myself. I am both not good at intuitively recognizing my feelings as they are happening, and also not good at immediately knowing what feelings I would prefer to be having. Over the years, it has taken me a lot of work to recognize what's going on in my head and my heart, to figure out what would actually make me happy. A great help in my personal understanding of this has been the book and goal-setting system, The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte. The desire mapping process is a response to a perhaps more familiar goal-setting system in which you would choose an achievement that you want, and then the objectives to get to that achievement. Some of those more common things are buying a car or a house or getting a certain job or a promotion or retirement, right? A vacation, a degree. Whatever it is that you want, and then you more traditionally would create smaller stepping stones to get to that thing. But Danielle Laporte understands that it's human nature to choose those goals, that tangible thing that you can lay your hands on many times, or an achievement that others can relate to, and nothing's wrong with that. But she says that we actually choose those achievements because we think that reaching them will make us feel a certain way. Most times, it's a subconscious thing, and we're not great at translating those goals to how we'll actually feel when we get them. So often, we get to that goal, we have it, and we immediately set another goal. And so we're in this sort of rhythm of chasing one goal after the next, and never really being able to bask in how we want to feel instead. She says, let's cut out the hamster wheel of going around and around, or at least divorce the goals from the feelings, and instead figure out how we want to feel right now. No need to wait, no need to save money or impress your boss or get enough credits. For instance, if I determine I want to feel grateful, I can guide my everyday decisions to cultivate that feeling all day, every day. If I need to respond to an invitation, I might think, will going to this party allow me to connect with people that I am grateful for, grateful to have in my life, or will going to this party make me feel like I'm fulfilling an obligation that feels restrictive and stressful? Well, there's my answer, right? I can use my feelings to guide my choices. Every tiny decision can be weighed against how you have predetermined that you want to feel. In my experience, it takes some time and a lot of narrowing and consideration to choose those words that really match how we want to feel. Maybe you came right up with something during meditation, or maybe you could use some further deliberating too. I'm going to read you a bunch of options now. These are a very random and abbreviated selection, just to give you a sense of what we're talking about here. Attentive, safe, connected, impactful, transparent, present, resonant, relaxed, abundant, centered, curious, wise, sensitive, tender, honest, appreciative, mindful, energized, high-flying, playful, intentional, sunlit, free-flowing, spacious, willing, dedicated, enthusiastic, worthy, tranquil, wonder, bright, daring. My instinct, with a few exceptions, is to say, yes, those sound great, right? I'll take one of everything. But the desire mapping process asks that we narrow and narrow and narrow until we find 3 to 5 feelings that seem like the best fit. Really, this is so it doesn't take us 3 hours for every decision, right, to RSVP to that party. We don't have to go through a list of 100 things. Some people choose new words every year because they're bound to change. Some people go through the process every 6 months. In similar fashion, Brené Brown, in her book, Dare to Lead, offers a list of values that we can choose from in order to guide what our organizations do and what we prioritize in our leadership practices. All right, so if you're still following me here, what I'm suggesting is that you consider how you are doing one thing, and therefore how you are doing everything. And then work on figuring out how you want to do that one thing and everything, which will take some practice, certainly, and some trial and error. That's the waiting piece. How do you want to wait? How do you want to get through something? But what about the sacred piece? My most favorite thing about Unitarian Universalism so far is that we can each have our own idea of what is sacred, and we can also respect what is sacred to others. Advent, Hanukkah, meeting babies, your one wild and precious life, or anything else. As you can imagine, I'm overwhelmed with theological perspectives. I attend Candler School of Theology, a Methodist school that requires quite a few Judeo-Christian course requirements. But even more than that, I'm in my 3rd semester of 5 courses each, with an average of, let's say, 25 students in each class, plus professors, teaching assistants. That's 400-ish perspectives. And that's all outside of the actual curriculum. Unitarian Universalism allows for that. I believe it's pretty directly aligned with the first principle. We believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, which is lovely. But it does not stand alone, of course. It's not the only principle, as you know. It's the first of 7. Lest we get caught up in the idea that our own worth and dignity or feelings or idea of sacred is more important or more right than someone else's, we are reminded of the many other places within the 7 principles where we are called to be compassionate encourage others, and spiritual growth. Use democratic processes and work towards world community, respecting interconnectedness. If we agree on those 7 principles, then we agree that it's not only our own sacred waiting that we are considering here. We're also called to think about others and the waiting they are doing and what is sacred to them. And maybe most importantly, how we can all do that together in community. And I'm sorry to say that I don't have the answer for that yet. Hey, I'm new here. I don't know all the answers yet. But I have another idea that I've been carrying around with me. Surprise, surprise. This one just for a few weeks. It came from the Chalice fireside chat that we had about using the 6 words to describe our concept of God. In the sermon reflection afterwards, I didn't run this by Reverend Deborah, so you can fact check me on the fly here. In the sermon reflection afterward, Reverend Deborah allowed space for those who didn't think defining God was helpful. But she also asked, in response to that in sort of a rhetorical way, if you don't hold a particular concept of God, then what comforts you? Comfort. I myself seek to be comfortable in some ways. I have an electric blanket on my bed, for instance. Even though I moved from the cold north to the south, I still like that toasty hot bed. And in other ways, I truly invite being in situations that require me to be uncomfortable. Like, most prominently, on this week with Black Friday, I work in retail, right? That is an uncomfortable situation most of the time. I both seek it, comfort, and cast it aside for myself. But when I think about that compassion, that community, and interconnectedness, bringing comfort seems especially important. I read you that list of words or feelings. There are so many more to choose from Danielle Laporte or Brene Brown or anywhere else. And while the desire mapping process asks you to choose 3 to 5 words at the most, and maybe one of yours is comfort, and maybe it's not. Either way, no matter how many words you choose or discard, I just want to take a moment to make it abundantly clear in what I say today. You are inherently worthy of comfort. You don't have to earn comfort or tranquility or wonder or any other of those words. You deserve them all. I really appreciate your time and listening ears this morning. I did notice that there's one more thing that Advent and Hanukkah and Unitarian Universalism have in common, and that is light. May we each find the light in these shortest days of the year, in ourselves, in each other, and in the world. Our closing hymn is number 1002 in the Teal book, Comfort Me.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my
Thank you. Thank you so much again for your warm welcome since I've been here in August, and especially today. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, my. Thank you. You have been so special to us in the time that you've been here and how you've jumped in and done things and been on sofas up here as a fact in some of our services. We thank you so much for the message today.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed.
And while I'm giving out thank yous, I want to thank Bruce for the anthem today that I thought was just absolutely touching. We hope you've been nourished in heart and mind by our worship today. As our chalice is extinguished this morning, please join me in the final words that are posted in the chat and in the order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. We'd like to join you, or we'd like to ask you to join us for refreshments and for fellowship after service today. Those online, please stay in your room, and you'll be directed to virtual breakout rooms for fellowship time. At 11:15 this morning, we have our sermon reflections with none other than Sara Drew. So we're going to have some excellent discussion today about the message and how it touches us and how it affects us and how we live. We also will have youth activities beginning at 11:15. Please check your order of service for the rooms and for the times that that's going to be happening. And a special note that I'd like to mention is next Saturday. Or is it Sunday? It's Saturday. Is it Nifty Grifty? That's on Sunday, right? But next Saturday at 4 p.m., Mission Joy, Emerson matinee movie with popcorn. Right, Reverend Deborah? So we'll have our movie on next Saturday right here in the sanctuary. So please join us for that. We're looking forward to that activity. And now, as our service is concluded, our connection has only begun. And as our Reverend Deborah would always say, go now in peace and take peace wherever you go.